The new permissions and roles feature is dropping in the next 24 hours. And so I just wanted to give you an overview of the power of this new feature instead of just writing about it. First and foremost, if you are a current StackMoxie admin, you will have the ability to see this new tab here called Permissions. And so we've copied over our two previous roles, the admin role and the creator role, so that you still have access to those, and the people on your team who are creators versus admins will retain the same basic permission sets that you had before. But now you have the ability, if you go into this permissions page, to create a new role. And so on the top right here, you can create a new role, you can give it whatever name you want, and you can give whatever permission sets you want to have within the context of all of these pages. So a little bit of a drill down into each section. The first section is all about scenarios. I can give somebody access to everything about scenarios, or I can say, hey, I don't want them to be able to visit the status dashboard page. They can create scenarios, but I don't want them managing my templates or folders or deleting anything. Awesome. You can save that as one particular permission set and give that out to users. For the publish values, UTM Builder and Campaign Builder, you can see there's a view publish values, and that's the general permission required to go to the page. From there, anything you do on the page on the UTM Builder, you can create URLs, you can track various things, you can build campaign names. So there's not like a view and an edit permission on this, but there is a manage permission for the admin section. So being able to create new publish values, etc. If you're going to give somebody manage permissions, you should just click up at the top and give them every permission set within a section, because if you don't have the ability to view the page, you can't get to the admin section either. And then finally, I can import a list but not manage a blueprint, or I can see the connections page but not change them, or any one of the 4 tabs within the admin section, being able to manage teams and permissions, etc. So this applies to the API calls also behind the scenes that a particular user has the ability to make. So it is possible to, if you go to our API page, it is possible to use Postman or something like that to access StackMoxie's data. So like this Git connections API request will fail for a user who does not have the ability to manage connections or create connections. It actually might. It will definitely not update or delete. You might be able to get if you have view connections, but you will not be able to make any changes to that. So anyways, it was a little bit more than what you probably wanted to know about APIs, but just know that they are closely related to the permission sets that you'll be giving to users on the front end. So now let's look over at how this impacts the platform. Here you can see for this particular user that I'm logged in as, I've given them the ability to create a scenario or to go to the UTM Builder and the Campaign Builder, but let's say not to the status dashboard and not to list import. And so if I go here and I try and manually change the URL to list import, I'm going to get a forbidden page that lets me know to ask an admin for this particular set of permissions. And so if I want to use the list import page, I need the import list permission, etc. So now let's go back to my admin, and here I'm going to change the role of this person from the UTM builder to the list importer. Now, when I go back here, I only have access to list import, and I cannot manage the blueprints. I can only put new lists in. Let's see, what's the next one? I could change the role to scenario builder, or maybe an ops manager, or I can make a campaign operations role where somebody in campaign operations would be able to import a list, they'd be able to use the UTM builder and the campaign builder and see the published values, but not change them and not build scenarios, for example. Whatever it is that you want to set up for the roles that make sense for your organization, you want somebody to only be able to access one particular page or only perform one particular action, you totally can with the new permissions tab. I would recommend you create a role for campaign ops, or for an ops manager who can manage all of the ins and outs of Stack Moxie, but maybe not hook up new connections or not make changes to the admin section, etc. I would recommend a UTM builder, or somebody who just uses one particular function, like a list importer or a scenario builder, etc. And then you can always create whatever it is that you want. So I could have almost an admin section that, let's see what's in this one. They can't see the status dashboard or delete scenarios, but they can manage a lot of the stuff within the admin section, but not just the UTM builder. Whatever it is that you want, we've made it work for you. If you experience any problems with this, please let customer success or me, Adam New Watterson, know about any particular challenge you have. And there are a couple of random situations where, let's say, I don't have the ability to create a scenario. So let's go back to my teams, and I'm going to change this from campaign ops to a list importer. No, UTM builder. Let's see what's on this. I think I had updated this UTM permissions to be more than. So let me get rid of create scenario. Actually, I'm going to leave create scenario first so you can see how this works. So now over here, if I go and I refresh, it's like, hey, you don't have access to that page anymore, which is awesome. But if I go to the historical tab, I want to be able to test my link, right? And make sure that the link works appropriately. And while it is running, as long as I have that creator scenario, I can actually, that create scenario permission within my permission set, I can actually create and run the test. So right now the test is starting to run, but I don't have the view permission in order to see the scenarios. So I can't actually be on a scenario page, right? So what we've done is we pushed you out to the public run log page so that you're not actually within the system at this particular moment. So as long as you allow there to be public run logs, then you're able to see this information without having the specific permission required. But if I then go back to the UTM builder and I edit this permission, I remove this create scenarios, and I go back to my UTM builder, go to the historical tab. Now you'll see that the links have been grayed out, and it says, sorry, you need the create scenarios permission in order to be able to test the link. It's all in your choices. If you don't want your people to be able to create any scenarios that is possible to limit them, just understand that will have impacts and limitations elsewhere in the product. Okay, thank you so much for spending 9 minutes with me on the new and exciting permission set feature. But we've been hearing this from our customers for a really long time. You wanted more and more control over who had access to what within the system, and so we gave it to you. Have a great day.